Hello, everybody. What do you say, gang? This is a special edition AD Sports. This is Spews, Spews. It's when sports and news combine. And we've got this is the championship of the NFL weekend, and we'll be talking about the games, giving picks, and fantasy coming up in just a few moments. But as I said, this is Spews and sports and news combined. And first story, sports and news combining, not in a positive, good way by any stretch of the imagination. You'll see the gentleman hailed to the victims. More than 1,000 students sexually abused at Michigan University, and an ex-NFL player wants their stories to be heard. Former University of Michigan NFL football player John Vaughn, one of more than 1,000 people, mostly men, who say they were abused by the athletics doctor, Robert Anderson, who worked for the university from 1966 to 2003. Anderson, who died in 2008, subjected students, 90% of whom were men, to, quote, sexually abusive conduct and evasive exams, including unnecessary genital and rectal examinations. You can go on and you can read the story. It's on CNN, and there's a picture of the guy. This isn't the only school, the only university where things like this have happened. Actually, Penn State had a sexual abuse scandal. Ohio State, I believe, they're one of their doctors. And it's sad that a lot of times it's people that are trusted, people in authority positions, doctors, priests. Anyway, so that's our first bit of Spews, sports and news combined. Second is the story of Tom Brady. Tom Brady, is he retiring? Is he not? My sources tell me that they know absolutely nothing one way or the other. And I have a feeling that either Tom Brady's really upset that this has all happened, or he's somehow planned it. Okay. I don't believe that. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan. Tom Brady destroyed the Indianapolis Colts so many times. I should absolutely hate the guy, but he's actually a pretty nice guy. He's a killer on the field, which you have to be as a quarterback or any key position, really. But he's actually a pretty decent guy. And now he may want to, he may want to play another year, and his wife may not want him to. I have a feeling that's kind of what's going on. A lot of people speculate along those lines, but having been married a couple of times, anyway, nobody knows yet. And maybe by the time this is posted, something official will have come out. But personally, I don't want to see the guy retire. I'd like to see him play another year. I think he's the most valuable player in the NFL. Where he got his team, with the Antonio Brown antics, with the injuries, regardless of his age, where he got his team with everything that he had to deal with. And again, I'm a Colts fan, so I don't have any great love for the guy, but you got to give him his due. So let's look and see what ESPN stands by its Tom Brady reporting that, and ESPN reported that Tom Brady will retire, and Brady responded by telling the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that he has yet to make a decision. And his father separately said Brady won't be retiring at all. The official NFL website has Bucs QB Tom Brady plans to retire. Brady plans to retire. NFL community reacts. And CNN, Spews, sports entering into news. Brady himself has not released a statement, and according to multiple reports, people close to him insisted decision has not been conveyed to them. Brady's father, Tom Brady Sr., told NFL Network's Mike Giardi reports of Brady's retirement are total conjecture, quote unquote. And quote, Tommy has not made a final decision one way or the other, and anybody else that says that he has is absolutely wrong. So again, nothing even close to official, and we'll have to wait and see. I should want him gone, but man, the guy's so good, and I appreciate greatness, and he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And we had Peyton Manning, and he except for one time when Belichick made a mistake and made a call that allowed the Colts to win the game, which is I'll never understand the call Belichick made, but thankfully he did. Anyway, one final bit of Spews before we talk about the championship weekend, and this is the University of Nebraska have updated Herbie the Husker mascot to change the hand gesture associated with white supremacy. Most people that have watched the non-sports or non-Spews versions of this show know that we've talked about how one of the Proud Boys sign was like this, and how Trump does that a lot. It is evidently Herbie the Husker, the University of Nebraska's mascot. It is what he does with his hand and forefinger in a design that is on their apparel. Okay. And the apparel company said, according to the Anti-Defamation League, that is now a racist hand sign, so don't do that anymore. And quote, the concern about the hand gesture was brought to our attention by our apparel provider and others, and we decided to move forward with a revised Herbie Husker logo. So he now has his index finger raised in a #1 gesture. That's the new Herbie the Husker logo. So not telling you what to think, how to think, just giving you something to think about. Leave your comments below, and whether you think this is necessary, whether you think this is, and I'm just going to run down, because this is kind of important, run down here to the process of changing the logo began in 2020. OK is now a hate symbol, the American Defamation League says. And the revised logo is now the only Herbie Husker mark available to licensees. So, okay. So again, just some things to think about. Now let's take a look at this. Let's take a look first at this past weekend. 4 games this past weekend in the divisional round. The Cincinnati Bengals on the verge of getting beat by the Tennessee Titans rallied and won the game on the leg of their rookie kicker, Evan McPherson. And second game was the Green Bay Packers playing San Francisco in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. And the game was a great game to watch if you're a football junkie, if you're a football nerd, if you're a football aficionado. Great game to watch. It was in the snow and the cold, and I talked the two previous shows about always look at the weather before you ever make a final bet. So weather impacted that game, impacted the final score, and San Francisco beat Green Bay. So, you know, as a Chicago Bears fan, as well as an Indianapolis Colts fan, always like to see Green Bay get beat, and Aaron Rodgers especially. Aaron Rodgers put out a thing that people were rooting against Green Bay because of his stance on vaccinations. And from Aaron, if you happen to be watching, no, just don't like you. Has nothing to do with your stance on vaccinations. Then it was Los Angeles Rams and Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and a great game, another comeback for the ages by Tom Brady. He did everything but win the game, and again with a banged up core, but you know, you play with the players you can put on the field, and he did an exceptional job. So now we've got the final game of the weekend, which was I had trouble coming up with a better game that was the best game I think I've ever seen, and I'm talking on TV, not in person. That was the best game I've ever seen. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills take it into overtime. Patrick Mahomes throws for I think it was 177 yards in the final 2 minutes of the game. And Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Bills, was phenomenal and just an incredible game to watch. So that takes us to this week. And today, actually, as this will be posted on Sunday, we've got the first game of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. My heart says go Bengals, you know, the underdogs. I admire the swag of Joey Burrow. He's a killer. And at the moment, the Colts nor the Bears have killers at quarterback. And so they're not going to be successful for a few years. I can see the Bengals winning this game. I don't think this stage is too big for Joey Burrow. He's got incredible weapons. And if the defense can slow Kansas City down just a notch or two, the Bengals can go in and win this game. And second game, the 49ers and the LA Rams. The 49ers have won 6 games in a row. And a lot of people saying, well, you know, there's no way they can win 7. There are a lot of people that have taken 7 ass whoopings in a row, you know, and keep coming back for more. And just because, you know, you're tired of it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And one thing that really bothers me is how the Los Angeles Rams fans seem to sell their tickets to the 49er fans, and how much it bothers the Rams players. Yeah, there's going to be a noise level, but making an issue out of the fact that, you know, begging people to come to the game and wives buying tickets and so that 49er fans won't buy them. And it's just It's like they're already living in your head before the game starts. And at this level, any advantage becomes inflated because it's each and every week is all or nothing. And now it's one win away from playing for the world championship in the Super Bowl. And I can see the 49ers beating the Rams for a seventh time. They're big, they're tough, they're bullies. The whole key to everything in this game is not going to be the quarterbacks. It's not going to be the running backs. It's not going to be the wide receivers. It's an offensive lineman for San Francisco named Trent Williams. Okay. Big number 71. If Trent Williams plays, if he's out there, the 49ers stay in this game and can win it. If he doesn't, I don't think the 49ers stand a chance. So pay attention to that before you make any kind of wagers. All right. Speaking of which, let's see what the lines are saying. Okay. This is DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm not logged in. And the lines currently, the Bengals are getting 7 points. 49ers are getting 3.5. That means the Rams have to win by 4 and the Chiefs would have to win by 8. Assuming that Trent Williams plays, I would take both of those. You know, you can parlay them together if you so desire. See, a $5 bet to get you 1909. So $50 bet would get you 190.09 if you parlayed them together. And the other thing I said is that I can easily see both these teams winning. Last week I said, you know, I could easily see all 4 of the road teams winning. And, you know, that almost happened. The Bills came very close to beating the Chiefs, and that would have happened. An incredible game. And if you haven't, if you're watching this and you haven't seen that game, go back and watch it at some point. The entire game was great. The final 2 minutes in overtime was just incredibly exciting and incredibly sad that it ended that way, with a coin toss, basically. But we'll get into that in another episode. Another possible bet is, you know, if you feel, as I do, that there's the possibility the Bengals and 49ers both win, parlaying that at $5 puts you at 47.17. So $50 would give you 470.17. Never bet more than you can afford, and always set limits. And you know, I'm sure not going to be betting $50 on either one of those, but my calls are the Bengals +7 and 49ers +3.5. And I would probably, if I had $50 to bet, I would probably bet, I would put $10 on the money line, Bengals winning outright and the 49ers winning outright, and put $20 on the Bengals +7 and the 49ers +7. And that would put me at $30. I'd still have $20. In case I lost everything, I still have $20 to play the Super Bowl next weekend. So quickly, let's switch over to fantasy. And the daily fantasy, there are just 2 games this weekend. So there's only one game to really play in the classic format, and that is that's the big game. This is the game that makes you eligible to enter the $1 million game. That's why I say it's the big game. There are options from 25 cents to thousands of dollars as an entry fee, but the $1 million game is a $20 entry fee. So let's look at the players. And last weekend, I recommended Deebo Samuel as a building block, and I recommended the running back from the Green Bay Packers, who ended up getting injured and couldn't finish the game. And those things happen. People get injured. Don't want anybody to ever get injured. Very few people I've ever ran into or ever watched that I wanted to get injured, and especially not if we have them on a fantasy team. Deebo Samuel at the end of the game with the Packers came basically hopping off on one foot at the end of the game. He had taken a shot to the right knee and leg, and he's practiced all week. At the same time, unless he's a miraculous healer, the possibility of that getting struck again is too strong for me to recommend him as a solid building block. I'm going to play him in one of the games I'm going to play in one of the teams I've already built, but I'm not going to utilize him as an across the board building block. Depending on how you like to structure your teams, the most solid, I guess, the most dependable, the most chance at getting 20 points out of a player consistently has got to be Cooper Kupp. However, he costs you $8,800. So you have to make that money up somewhere else as you build. And if you're if you play fantasy a lot, you understand what I'm saying by making that up, making that money up, because you're paying up a lot for Cooper Kupp. But I'm going to give you a couple of ways you can make that up. You can make that money up right here with a T. Higgins instead of Jamar Chase. You can make that money up right here with Odell Beckham instead of Deebo Samuel or Tyreek Hill. Now, these players don't cost you as much. They're still potential chunk players, and it's a way of getting Kupp in your lineup if you so desire. I'm going to play Kupp, but again, the 49ers have an incredibly tough defense, and there is the possibility he gets shut down, just like the possibility Deebo Samuel's hurt and he becomes more of a decoy than an actual point scorer. I'm going to recommend Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase as your two building blocks at wide receiver. At running back, I'm going to spend up on Joe Mixon because he's going to get a lot of work. And your players on your fantasy team cannot score points if they do not touch the ball. So try to make sure that you're including players on your team that are going to touch the ball a lot. Let's go to tight end real quick and see what CJ Uzomah did last week. He was targeted 8 times, had 7 receptions, 71 yards. He only cost you $3,400, and he allows you to spend up somewhere else. Travis Kelce cost you $6,500. He's also a potential chunk playmaker. And that's what you want. You want people with the ball in their hands that are going to get you multiple points every time they do indeed touch the ball. So 3 Bengals and a Chief, because I think that's going to be the highest scoring game of the weekend, the Chiefs and the Bengals. And I'd go ahead and drop the Rams defense in down here because I think they're going to have the most points at the end of the 2 games out of the 4 defenses. And that comes into play more often than not on whether you're in the money or out of the money. What happens with your defenses and special teams. So another special edition of AD Sports. This is Spews, Sports and News combined, and it's also the championship round of the NFL season. So we'll be back next week, sometime next weekend with a report on things going on and in the sports and news combined, as well as building up to the Super Bowl. And then the week after that, we'll have our Super Bowl edition. So until then, thank you all so much for watching, man. I love y'all. And hit the subscribe button, like and share. And if you are a subscriber, hit the notification bell so you know when the American Doofus show's on, as well as American Doofus Sports. And until next time, wish you nothing but good luck if you are wagering. And again, if you do decide to place any kind of bets at all, stay within your limits and don't go chasing bad money. Be able to accept a loss because they happen to everybody, and be prepared for it. And don't go doubling down and trying to make your money back, and just decide what you're going to play it, and hope for the best. Love y'all. See you next time. It's the American Doofus special sports edition, AD Sports, Spews, Sports and News together.